everybody, it's Happy Mel Queen. Today I'm doing a tutorial. Sandy's Planner Shop and Crafts requested a tutorial on how to make a shaker, and so I thought let me go ahead and just pull out some dies from KSCRAFT here. This is the heart globe shaker die set, and then this one is the coffee pot shaker die set. So I thought I'd do a couple of shakers just to show Sandy how I put together my shaker embellishments, and hopefully this will be helpful. And for those of you who are new to making shakers, hopefully this tutorial will help you feel more comfortable making shaker embellishments. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, you are going to need, the type of die that you're going to need is a die that has a frame, because that's how you're going to make your shakers. You're going to put the shaker bits inside that frame. So it has to be, you know, something like this. In this case here, it would be this frame here, or this one right here. It also creates a nice frame if you keep these two pieces together. Okay, so first let me go ahead and go back to this one. So I've already cut my pieces for time's sake. You're going to start off with your base, which is this piece right here. This creates the globe, or the part that holds the globe, right? And so I already cut my pieces. I did double them. This one is triple. This one has a nice sturdy, I like to use nice sturdy background paper. So this is 80-pound cardstock. You can use 100-pound cardstock for the bottom part, and then layer over your whatever paper you want to use. I'm using this foiled cardstock, and the foiled cardstock, sometimes they're not too sturdy. They tend to bend, and so that's why I like to double it. So this is 2 layers. This one here is triple layered, because then I put a foam in between the foil cardstock and the 80-pound cardstock on the bottom. So this one is super duper sturdy. Okay, so it depends on how you want to create that, but just, you know, make it sturdy, because, you know, once you make it, you obviously don't want it bending or, you know, getting messed up after all that work you put into it. Okay, so I went ahead and cut out the frame, and here's my frame here. So for this one, this is the frame. I kept these two together before I took them apart, and that created my heart frame with the scallop edges. So there's that. And so when you make your shaker, you're always going to have your base. Okay, first I cut it with this one, and then, so it's usually paper and then foam, and then acetate, and then paper again. Okay, and that's always going to be your steps. But of course, I'll show you how to put this together, because these two are going to attach, and then these two are going to attach, and then you're going to put this together, because you have to put your bits inside. So just to show you guys the foam that I use, I do like to use at least a 3mm foam. This one right here is a nice thickness. This is my favorite to use, 3mm foam. I get this from WandyFoam on Etsy, and I'll leave the link in the description box. If you don't go to Etsy, you could also find foam at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I usually get mine at Hobby Lobby, and I really like the thicker foam. So this one right here, this one is, as you can see, this is super thick. So This is 3mm, this one is 5mm, so you can see it's super duper thick. And then this right here is a 2mm foam. And so you can kind of see the difference in thickness. You can still make a shaker out of the 2mm foam because that's the most common. That's the ones you're gonna find most of the time. But you know, you can't fill your shakers too much. You're gonna have to use really flat sequins or smaller sequins so that it shakes on the inside. So that's why I like to use the thicker foam. So my go-to is usually the 3mm or the 5mm. All right, and the foam from Hobby Lobby is the Silly Wink. It comes in a 12 by 18 sheet, and this one's the 5mm foam. So as far as the acetate, I do get my acetate either from Amazon, but I also stocked up when they had a sale at Michael's, and this is the one that I've been using. This is the one from Michael's. It's clear acetate sheets. They're 12 by 12, and I think they're about $10 or $9.99 when they're not on sale, but you get 12 pieces. Make sure that you do peel off the protective film on these, because otherwise it won't stick very well. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. And of course you're going to need some glue. I've been using glossy accents. I think this is the easiest glue to use when you're putting a shaker together. You can also use Fabri-Tac, but Fabri-Tac is a little thicker. It will stick easily, but sometimes you can kind of see the goopy glue in between. So this one with the glossy accent, it stays flatter and you don't see the glue as much, and you probably don't have to use as much glue either. So glossy accent is probably the easiest one to use. Okay, I have some paper towels. I usually have like a wet paper towel, especially if you're working with foiled, because you know you can get glue all over your foil cardstock, but if you get a damp paper towel, you can wipe that off easily. Okay, and then I also use just another paper towel that's dry underneath, and that's where I do all of my gluing on top of this. Let's go ahead and put some of these shakers together. We'll go ahead and start off with this one right here. Okay, so I already put my base together. So now we're going to just do the shaker part. So I did cut this out, this one, using this one because that's your base. And then the acetate, I use that same dye. Okay, because you have to make sure your acetate is going to fit right there. Okay, and you're only going to put glue on that frame. All right, so we can go ahead and start off with that. So I turn this over and I use my glossy accent, and I just put some glue here. Now I usually just use my fingers to spread this. If you want, if you have like a silicone applicator like this, you can get this on at one point they had them, they were selling them at Dollar Tree, but you could also find it on Amazon, and you just want to flatten that out, okay, because you want to make sure you get rid of the excess glue, because you want that to lay flat and you don't want too much oozing going on. Okay, you don't want to get that all over your acetate. Then I'm going to go ahead and lay this right over my acetate, making sure that it lands in the right spot. Okay, so didn't quite land on the right spot, so I gotta adjust it a little bit. Oh. And this is where you can get glue all over the place when you're if it doesn't line up and you're adjusting it, but I'll show you how to clean that up. Okay, so now I have that adjusted, and you see how you have some glue there that kind of seeped out, and that's where you get your damp paper towel, and just go ahead and wipe that off, because it is acetate, so it will come off, but you want to do it quickly before it dries, because then it's harder to remove. Okay, I also got a little bit there, so I'm going to go ahead and, so don't put too much glue, but you also want to make sure it sticks. Okay, so you do your cleaning up now before that glue sets. Okay, so I think I pretty much took most of the glue off there. And then you want to just set this aside. Next, you're going to take the base and you are going to put your foam down. Okay, so turn this over, and we're going to also put glossy accent on this one. And this one I don't mind so much if I put a little more, because it's going to dry clear, and I really want that to stay down. And you're not really going to see any glue seepage, even if it seeps out here, because it's going to dry clear, and then you're going to put your bits anyway, and that should cover it up. Alright, so I do tend to be a little more generous with my glue when I'm putting the foam down. Now it is going to slip and slide, okay? And keep in mind, when you die cut your foam, it will stretch a little bit, but you know, you can just manipulate it a little and make sure that, you know, it shrinks back into place. And you can do that when you're gluing it down. Okay, and you can use your bone folder if you want to just flatten that out. Okay, and it might take time to dry, so sometimes I will put something kind of heavy on top of there, like something like that, or a book, something that just has a little bit of weight. You want to just go ahead and put a little weight on that without moving it, because you don't want this to slide out of place, but that helps flatten it down, okay, and keeps its shape, so it doesn't curl up. You know, sometimes when you put glue, your paper kind of curls up, so that way it doesn't. Okay, but I would even just leave the, you know, the book on top for a little bit and wait for that to dry. Okay, and then you're gonna also take your bits. I've already made my sequence mix here using different bits. I used some of this from Target. This one here is from Pretty Mix Studio. And then I have this big jar. I've already put my sequins in here. That's from Hobby Lobby, the big sequence mix. And they're all hearts. So, all right, so once this is dry, then you go ahead and put your sequence mix inside. And with this one, I don't have to worry so much, even though they're bigger pieces, because I have a lot of room here to cover. But you know, you don't want to overfill it either, because you want it to be able to shake. So I don't want to put too many big, I think there's a lot of red there, so I'm going to remove some of it, and I'm going to put some of these in there. Okay, so I'm going to remove maybe one more of the red. And so I'm just going to flip these over, because then love is going to be spelled backwards. Okay, so I think that's about all I'm going to put in there. So once you have that, then you're going to make sure everything is kind of away from the edges. Okay, oops, I think this fell out. Okay, keep your sequins kind of in the middle. And then you're going to go ahead and put some glossy accent again on your foam. Okay, and then you're going to put your acetate in the frame that's already attached. You're going to put that over and you're going to line it up. And again, if you put too much glue, then go ahead and make sure you flatten it out with this before you, obviously before you stick this on top. But so just line it up as best as you can, and don't shake it yet until this is dry. Okay, so again, you want to put something heavy on here to keep it nice and flat. So again, I would suggest putting a book. I can put my planner on top there so that it's nice and it stays nice and flat. So once it's dry, I kind of just inspect to make sure that that is nice and adhered. Okay, that's not lifting. You always want to check to make sure, because sometimes it does not adhere nicely, and as you can see here, that's, sorry, I'm trying not to shake it, but yeah, see, it's nice and flat. All right, and see, now you can shake it. And then of course I would just glue that on top here, which we can go ahead and do that now. I'm just gonna put some glue here. Not too much glue. Okay, and that completes that. And I'll just let this dry. So there's my shaker. So then we can put the coffee pot together. Okay? Alright guys, thanks for watching and I'll talk to you later. Hope you guys like my scissors.